Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a mission, and this one is really for anyone navigating that constant push and pull of external opinions.
Exactly.
Our source material is this collection of, well, really focused philosophical insights from Ron W Rathbun, and it offers a pretty radical framework for personal freedom based on two concepts we all think we know: detachment and karma.
And it sets up this deeply personal framework for self-mastery. It's not about generic advice at all. It's really focused on establishing these essential boundaries.
Right.
So our goal here is to really extract the nuts and bolts of how to live your life, without being impeded by the fear or the expectations of other people. And crucially, how to avoid accidentally inviting all that negativity into your own world.
And we are going to unpack this core idea that true detachment isn't about being, emotionally distant or just uncaring.
No, not at all.
It's actually a necessary tool for managing all that external pressure. It's a way to maintain control over your own path, and maybe most importantly, to shield you from picking up negative karma that isn't even yours to begin with.
And that right there is the central tension. We hit it immediately. We all crave the ability to live life guided by your own internal wisdom.
Of course.
But we face this relentless external pressure from people who are, frankly, attempting to control us. And this control, it's often disguised as, concern or advice, and it gets funneled through what the source calls socialized compartments.
Socialized compartments. Okay, for the listener, what exactly does the source mean by these compartments?
Well, think of them as the rigid, sort of predefined roles and expectations that society or your family or even your friends create for you.
So the boxes they want to put you in.
Exactly. These boxes, these compartments, they contain everything from, say, what career path you should take to how you should react after a breakup, or even, how much money you should care about. They're structures built on other people's beliefs or their fears, not on your personal truth.
So the really powerful thing detachment teaches you is how to dismantle that external scaffolding, how to separate yourself from the ignorance of others trying to tell you where to go.
Precisely. That's the absolute key. Because when people are operating from their socialized compartment, from their opinions, their ignorance, they are trying to impose their reality onto yours.
Right.
And detachment just means recognizing that projection for what it is and, stepping out of its path.
Okay, let's unpack this concept of ownership then, specifically the ownership of consequences or personal karma, because the source material draws an extremely clear line in the sand here. It feels like this ultimate declaration of individual responsibility.
Oh, it is. The material states it so clearly. Your karma is yours, and their life's karma is theirs. It establishes the ultimate individual ledger.
No shared accounts.
No shared banking account for personal development, for mistakes, for life lessons. You are accountable only for the choices you make on your own path.
That clarity is, it's refreshing, especially in a culture that so often encourages us to feel responsible for the emotional states and, the life choices of everyone around us.
Mm-hmm.
The material suggests that if you are living your life, meaning you are doing what you came to do, and other people have a problem with that, that's for them to deal with. But if I watch a friend making a choice that I just know is going to harm them, doesn't complete non-interference become, morally questionable?
That is a critical question, and the source addresses this. It differentiates between intervention based on awareness versus non-awareness. So when you're truly living your life, you're operating from your highest awareness. If someone else chooses disharmony in response to your awareness, let's say they get angry that you set a boundary, that reaction is entirely theirs. You are not responsible for their choice to live in that discord.
So what handles that discord then, if I don't engage?
The source is very direct about the mechanism. Instead of fighting it or trying to convince them, you just step back and you trust the system. It says, know that karma will handle everything disharmonious in life with people who choose to not comply. It just removes the need for you to be the judge, the jury, or the executioner of their reaction. You don't have to carry that burden of correcting their emotional response to your correct path.
It sounds like delegating the emotional cleanup job, which I imagine preserves a lot of your energy.
A ton of it.
But let's dig into this idea of caring, because this is where the source completely reframes conventional wisdom. Most of us are taught that getting deeply emotionally involved, taking on the struggle, is the definition of caring.
And this is maybe the most critical distinction in the whole text. The source separates awareness-based living from non-awareness-based living.
Okay.
So if you are sharing one's karma with another, meaning you're taking on their baggage, their responsibility, their reaction to your life. The material insists this is not caring. It's non-awareness-based living.
Walk us through what that actually looks like. What does non-awareness-based living look like in, say, a friendship?
It looks like chronic enabling or repeated advising that goes nowhere. Imagine you have a friend who constantly comes to you with the same self-inflicted problem. They ask for your advice, they ignore it, and then they're back a week later with the exact same drama.
I think we've all been there.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you continue to absorb their emotional state, if you keep trying to fix them, or you let their chaos derail your day, you are engaging in non-awareness-based living. You are sharing their karmic struggle.
Because in that scenario, I'm not just delaying their necessary learning, the lesson that actions have consequences. I'm actively taking on the negative energy of their resistance myself.
Exactly. Yeah. You are refusing to recognize the boundary between your ledger and theirs. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the key takeaway is just immense. A significant amount of negative karma can be avoided simply by learning detachment. By refusing that urge to pass along what is not good for anyone, you stop participating in these cycles of negativity that were never truly yours in the first place. Trying to police someone else's reaction is just a drain on your own evolutionary energy.
So your primary responsibility is just to your own awareness.
That's it.
That reframing of care as a boundary issue. It leads us perfectly into the next major concept the Source explores, which is how we transmit and react to fear. If opinions can be karmically contagious, the Source is suggesting emotional states are, what, physiologically contagious?
Absolutely. The material gets very specific about the physical and psychological impact of fear.
Yeah.
It describes it almost like a direct energetic transfer. It's not just about seeing someone jump and then you jump. It's something deeper, much subtler.
And this is where it gets really interesting and a little close to home. It highlights the specific detail that adrenaline, fear, anxiety, they can be transmitted directly to people in your proximity. So the Source is arguing that you're not immune to the low-grade anxiety of the person just sitting next to you, even if they aren't saying a word.
And the material stresses how universal this is.
Yeah.
It says, no one incarnates here and isn't affected. No one. We are biological, vibrational beings. We're all susceptible to picking up this frequency of anxiety or panic from those around us. It's just a core vulnerability of being human.
Okay, so we're constantly being hit by this external fear. And since this Source is all about self-mastery, what's the typical, the instinctual response to this emotional input? And why is that response so bad for our personal growth?
The common instinctual response is avoidance. And that avoidance, it manifests as blocking. People try to create this emotional barrier to these overwhelming feelings of fear, anxiety, dread.
Which seems logical.
It seems logical, but it leads directly to this critical paradox of avoidance and personal growth.
Yeah.
What you block out blocks out your ability to evolve in that area.
That is a profound statement. It implies that the walls we build to keep the bad feelings out are the very same walls keeping the necessary skills locked away.
It is the ultimate evolutionary trap. Let's use an analogy. Say you are terrified of setting healthy, firm boundaries. Maybe you grew up where any conflict was just explosive.
Definitely it's like this.
So the fear of conflict is overwhelming and you block it. You avoid any and all confrontation. But by blocking the feeling of fear tied to conflict, you're also blocking your ability to evolve the skills you need.
Like what?
Clarity of communication, assertiveness, self-respect, and a dynamic interaction. You can't learn how to handle conflict if you won't even go near the area where conflict exists.
So this connects fear directly to the learning process. The material notes that people commonly block what they need to learn because of fear, and if you already understood it, you wouldn't block it. The fear is literally the indicator light flashing over the subject you're required to study.
Exactly. Fear is the signature of your personal growth edge. If you already had mastery over a topic, whether it's financial management or public speaking or emotional regulation, you'd approach it with competence, not dread.
Right.
The moment you feel that impulse to retreat, that is precisely the moment you should realize, okay, this area contains the essential blocked lesson I need for my evolution.
Which means the discomfort isn't a signal to run away, it's actually a signal to advance. Because the cost of avoidance is, well, it's massive, according to this text.
The ultimate cost is so steep. The Source states, if you go your whole life avoiding everything, you'll never learn anything. And that's the core tragedy of it. Fear is the biggest hurdle to overcome because it's fear keeping healing from taking place.
So if you're avoiding the source of your pain or anxiety, that old wound, that skill gap, you are actively preventing the very resolution or recovery you're looking for.
You can't heal what you refuse to look at. It's that simple.
Okay, we've covered the philosophy. Defining your personal karmic boundaries, confronting fear as an evolution blocker. Now let's shift from theory to, practical application. How do we actually do this? How do we implement true detachment and non-interference in our daily interactions with people who are actively trying to transmit their fear or impose their socialized compartments on us?
It starts with the simplest and, I think, most overlooked action: non-reaction.
I worry that non-reaction sounds passive, like you're just letting things happen to you.
Yeah.
How do we make non-reaction a genuine power move?
Well, the material emphasizes the power of simply not reacting. It says, the simple act of not reacting can save people enormous grief in one's life. It isn't passive at all. It's a conscious disengagement from the cycle. So if someone attempts to trigger you, a boss sends an inflammatory email, a family member criticizes your life choices, and you consciously choose not to swing back, you break the energetic chain right there.
So when my relative throws out a comment about my career and my gut reaction is to launch into a 15-minute defense, non-reaction means recognizing that external pressure and just choosing to let it pass through me without generating my own energy in response.
Yes. You recognize the projection for what it is, that it's coming from their fear or their opinion, and you don't internalize it. You don't validate it by getting into a debate you can't possibly win. You're just preserving your energy for your own path.
And this is where we clarify that definition of detachment again.
Right, because this is so important.
Because the common misconception is that detachment means apathy, that you don't care.
And it's not emotional withdrawal. It is a recognition of reality. When you learn the art of detachment, you realize there's a limit to what you can control or influence. The source says it's recognizing there's nothing to do with people who want to live their opinions in life. You simply accept that their choice is to operate from their opinion, and you are not obligated to participate in validating it or debating it. You can observe the behavior without being implicated in its karmic trajectory.
And this leads us directly to non-interference, which is kind of the umbrella practice for all of this.
It is. Non-interference is the key practice that allows you to live on your own karmic ledger. It means you aren't interfering with their right to learn their lessons, however painful that might be, and they are not interfering with yours.
And what's the ultimate benefit of that practice? If I can really maintain non-interference, what do I gain?
By practicing non-interference, the source promises that you will learn how to free yourself from the karma of other people. This is the ultimate freedom from all that external entanglement.
Wow.
Just being able to exist purely in your own karmic path, unburdened by others' choices or ignorance, you become the sole architect of your life experience.
So it's about making space for your own awareness to drive your actions instead of just reacting to all that.
All that external noise.
And so as we kind of transition to our final thought here, what's the final actionable guideline for self-direction that comes from this? When is the right time to make that major break from those external pressures?
It's extremely straightforward and powerful. It's designed to just cut through all the indecision and guilt. It says, anytime something in life doesn't serve you anymore is the time to let it go and be about your life and living.
That's it.
That's it. No prolonged negotiations, no manufactured guilt, just an awareness-based decision to clear the way for what you came here to do. If it's holding you back, its time is up.
That is a clean, practical synthesis. So today we've really established a rigorous framework for self-mastery. First, defining your personal karma boundaries and strictly avoiding that boundary collapse that comes from non-awareness-based sharing, even when you think you're being helpful or caring.
And second, recognizing fear, not as a valid warning sign to retreat, but as the primary evolution blocker that has to be addressed, that has to be utilized, not avoided. We're all susceptible to the anxiety of others, but we have to choose not to block the corresponding lesson we need for our own growth.
Our goal in this deep dive was really to help you to understand what is truly yours versus what is just external noise. If you can master non-reaction and non-interference, you can drastically reduce the input of disharmony and external pressure in your life.
That said, avoiding everything means avoiding learning, and that fear is the main block to healing. That awareness right there is what moves you from non-action to pure necessary growth.